What's good, y'all? So this is the first episode of Raw since R-Truth has been fired, and let me start off by saying there was a lot of "We Want Truth" chants in the crowd. But I'm gonna be honest with y'all, man. I think Netflix found a way to tune out the crowd whenever they was going crazy screaming at, because you heard it in the beginning of the episode, but after that you just didn't hear it. Like even with the segment with CM Punk when he first came out, you clearly could hear them screaming, "We want R-Truth." But like I said, I think Netflix found a way to blur it out. Just like when Hulk Hogan was on the debut of Raw on Netflix, when everybody was booing Hulk Hogan. When we saw it on TV on Netflix, we couldn't really hear the boos. But then when you go on Twitter and you watch videos of people that was actually in the crowd, the boos were super loud. So let's get into the show. So CM Punk comes out first, and he kicks off the show, and basically he's talking about his plans for Money in the Bank, including Monday night's qualifier, claiming the briefcase, and then challenging Jey Uso or John Cena. He said it's nothing personal between Jey Uso, but it is something personal with John Cena. So then Sami Zayn interrupts CM Punk, which I think was extremely disrespectful. And I'm just so ready for Sami Zayn to turn heel, bro. Like, I'm just, like, Sami Zayn, in my opinion, is just fucking annoying. Everything about Sami Zayn is annoying. His theme song, like, it's just so annoying, bro. Everything about Sami Zayn is annoying to me, bro. He just seems like a child that just wants to be friends with everybody. And at the end of the day, bro, this is professional wrestling. You shouldn't want to just be butt buddies and friends with everybody. At some point, Sami Zayn has to turn heel. And, I think a guy's name is Karrion Kross actually basically told that to Sami Zayn later on in the show. But let's stay focused. So Sami Zayn interrupts Punk and basically tells him not to worry about Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, or Paul Heyman. He needs to focus on winning the Money in the Bank qualifier, because basically he's saying that if Seth Rollins was to win that briefcase and become World Heavyweight Champion, then wrestling as we know it would be gone, right? And everything would just pretty much go bad, right? So next, we have the Women's Money in the Bank qualifier with Stephanie Valkyrie, Ivy Nile, and Liv Morgan. And let me start off by saying, man, congratulations to Stephanie Valkyrie. She's my favorite female wrestler right next to Jade Cargill. And, Stephanie Valkyrie, she definitely deserved to be moved up to the main roster. But what really pisses me off is the fact that, Booker T is still the announcer for NXT. So when Stephanie Valkyrie does that move where Booker T is like, yeah, it's not going to hit the same, bro. And Pat McAfee tried to do it, and it was just horrible, bro. Like, Pat McAfee, like, he didn't even put any effort into trying to doing it the same way Booker T does it. So hopefully Triple H can find a way to move Booker T from being the announcer to NXT to being the announcer on Monday Night Raw, because we need Booker T specifically for Stephanie Valkyrie, man. So going into this match, I was predicting that Stephanie Valkyrie was going to win this match. You know what I'm saying? Just because, the fact that she just lost her title at NXT, I said she has to win this Money in the Bank. And there's a high possibility that she ends up winning the Women's Money in the Bank. But let me start off by saying, if Stephanie Valkyrie, if she loses this Money in the Bank match to Rhea Ripley, I'm gonna break my TV. Like, I'm so tired of Rhea Ripley getting all of these opportunities to become champion, right? First, she lost the belt to Liv Morgan, right? We spent a whole year of her saying, I'm gonna get the title back I never lost, yeah? Shout out to C-Jax, right? So she finally gets it back, right? And then a month later, she loses it to EU Sky. Then she blames Bianca Belair for losing it to EU Sky, right? She gets another opportunity and pretty much forces herself into a triple threat match at WrestleMania, and she loses again. EU Sky retained. So, I mean, let's move on, bro. Like, at the end of the day, let's be honest, guys. Rhea Ripley is a star. She gets the biggest pop from the crowd. She's by far the most popular female wrestler in wrestling right now. She doesn't need a belt. She doesn't. She just doesn't need a belt. You know, Io Sky needed the belt. She deserved it, you know? And let's be honest, Io Sky is a much in-ring wrestler than Rhea Ripley. When it comes to in-ring wrestling, Rhea Ripley is actually kind of mid in my opinion. Yeah, she has a great entrance. Yeah, she always has a nice outfit on. Yeah, she always does the faces when she's walking out. Cool. Yeah, she has a pretty cool finishing move. But other than that, she's an average in-ring wrestler. She's not a better wrestler in-ring than Jade Cargill. She's not a better wrestler in-ring than Stephanie Valkyrie. She's not a better wrestler in-ring than Did I already say Jade Cargill? I'm going to say it again. I mean, she ain't even a better in-ring wrestler than Naomi. Let's just call it what it is. She damn sure ain't a better in-ring wrestler than Queen Nia Jax. You dig what I'm saying? Like, when it comes to her in-ring skills, she's average, right? So anyway, let's get into this action-packed three-way contest, right? So Morgan, she was very resourceful, very resilient. You know what I'm saying? Niall sent Liv Morgan into the steel steps, returned into the ring, immediately found herself on the end of an SVB. The finish produced the right winner, but also took Morgan out of the equation and ensured the tag team champion did not eat a loss in consecutive weeks. By the way of her win, Valkyrie almost immediately becomes the favorite to win Saturday's match, but one has to wonder if the creative team is willing to put her over someone like Rhea Ripley or Naomi. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I really do want Naomi to win this Money in the Bank match, bro. Naomi turning heel has been awesome. I love the caution outfit that she always has on. By the way, Naomi got a fat ass, y'all. Let's talk about it. Shout out to my nigga Trick Williams. Let's talk about it. Naomi has the nicest ass in wrestling, bruh. Like, shout out to Naomi. Shout out to Jimmy Uso. I'm so jealous that that's your girl, bruh. I hope Naomi wins the Money in the Bank, like, for sure. All right. So the next segment, we have the War Raiders versus the Judgment Day. How many times are we gonna get matches with the War? Like, guys, am I the only one that doesn't care for the War Raiders? Like, how do you release a guy like R-Truth and then you have the War Raiders who, like, guys, every time the War Raiders comes out, the crowd just doesn't give a single fuck. And I give the same reaction because I don't care for these guys. Now, the big dude with the beard and the ponytail, he is a phenomenal wrestler, bro. For a guy his size to be moving around the ring how he does, he is actually a really, really good wrestler, man. So I got to give credit when it's due. But I'm basically saying that nobody cares about the War Raiders because nobody cares about the War Raiders, right? So anyway, let's get into the match. Basically, Roxanne Perez distracted Ivar, allowing McDonough to hang him up behind the referee's back. Finn Balor added Coup de Grace from there, and the heels earned a much-needed victory. This was about further strengthening Roxanne Perez's connection with the Judgment Day amid resistance from Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. More than anything, Charlotte highlighted the tag team match division, but in a measurable way. And shout out to Finn Balor, man. Finn Balor, aka Pin Balor. It's about goddamn time that he won a match, bro. Like, Finn Balor, he probably has lost matches for the last 2 years straight. And I feel like he deserved to get that Intercontinental Championship more than Dominic Mysterio did. So shout out to Finn Balor. I wouldn't be mad if a guy like him won the Money in the Bank, just because he's been a jobber for the last 3 years straight on the WWE, right? So next we have the Lyra Valkyria promo, and she's walking out to the ring looking super pissed off. You know, she has this big feud with the man, aka Becky Lynch, you know. So she pretty much called her out for an in-ring promo that ended up in them, you know, pretty much, you know, getting into a brawl. She basically told Becky to get her ass in the ring. Becky refused. She pretty much turned around and started walking out, and Lyra Valkyria pretty much jumped out the ring, hit her from behind, and they got into it, right? Who cares, right? So next, we have a segment with Stephanie Valkyrie and Rhea Ripley, right? So basically, Stephanie Valkyrie, you know, somebody congratulates her on winning her first match, and then she focuses her eyes on somebody that's walking up with her, and that's none other than Rhea Ripley. And basically, Rhea Ripley extended her hand, and they shook hands, and she basically was, you know, welcoming Stephanie Valkyrie to the main roster. Now, Rhea Ripley looked huge standing next to Stephanie Valkyrie. Like, yo, when Rhea Ripley walked up in Stephanie Valkyrie's face, Like, she literally made Stephanie Valkyrie look like a child, bro. And then I went and I looked up. I said, how tall is Stephanie Valkyrie? And I found out Stephanie Valkyrie is only like 5'3", and Rhea Ripley is like 5'9". But Jesus Christ, bro, Rhea Ripley just looked huge. Like, not even just her height, but her arms, her fucking head, her goddamn chin, her neck. Like, Jesus Christ, man. They need to start testing Rhea Ripley to see if she's on testosterone, bro. Like, she is a pretty woman, but she has very, very, very masculine features, bro. Jesus Christ, right? So next we get into the co-main event. No, we get into the main event, which is we get into the co-main event, which is Jey Uso and Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, right? The Hills pretty much dominated the action until a hot tag from Zayn to Uso sparked the comeback. The action broke down and all four men found themselves down on the outside of the squared circle, allowing Seth freaking Rollins to come out from nowhere and deliver a stomp to Uso, drawing a disqualification, which was very predictable because when Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed walked out, Seth Rollins didn't walk out with them. So that pretty much told us that at some point Seth was going to come out, right? So Rollins and Cole threatened the 3-on-2 beatdown until CM Punk made the save with a steel chair. And then Seth Rollins pretty much calmed down Braun Breaker and told him, we know where he's going to be later tonight. We got him right where he want him. Because Braun Breaker just wanted to go into the ring and obliterate him, right? So, yeah, man. So pretty much, Uso and Zayn won because Reed and Breaker got disqualified because of Seth Rollins basically being, their handlers, right? Like, it's just funny to see Seth Rollins have guys that's bigger than him, like Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. It's like he's the owner and he has these guys on the leash like they're two fucking Rottweilers. It's just hilarious to see, right? So next we have Kairi Sane versus Raquel Rodriguez. Kairi Sane basically won because EU Sky came out and helped her win. I'm not going to get too deep into the match because nobody cares. Next we have the men's Money in the Bank qualifier, which is CM Punk versus AJ Styles versus El Grande Americano. Before this, backstage, Gunther delivered some final words to Jey Uso ahead of their world title match next Monday on Raw, and he basically said it was he's basically telling Jey Uso, thank you for making it so easy for me to take my title back from you, because, he basically was bringing up the fact that Jey Uso is trying to help Sammy and he's trying to help CM Punk. And he basically told Jey Uso that as a world champion, you can't do that. You have to be selfish, right? You being selfish is the only way that you're going to be able to be a real world heavyweight champion. And you keep trying to save everybody, you're going to get yourself hurt. And boy, was he right, because at the end of the match, Jey Uso, Jey Uso, at the end of that, that match, that tag, let me just stick to the main event, y'all. So they battled into the final men's Money in the Bank qualifier, action-packed match that was every bit as good, pretty much what everybody would expect. It finished muddy when Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed interfered and caused Punk a pinfall on Americano. Jey Uso and Sami Zayn made the save as the action broke out at the ringside, including a springboard cross body block from the phenomenal one to the mass of the bodies on the floor. Americano loaded his mask, blasted Styles with a headbutt, and scored the upset win. I hate the fact that Chad Gable is only winning matches as El Grande Americano. Like, seriously, how long is Triple H going to continue this El Grande Americo gimmick for Chad Gable? Why can't Chad Gable win all of these important matches and not El Grande Americano? Because let's be honest, this whole El Grande Americano, it's a complete spin into the face of the real Mexican wrestlers. You know what I'm saying? I know it's funny, I know it's a joke, and Chad Gable is a great wrestler, but this El Grande shit, like, it's corny. It's getting corny, man. And I think Penta eventually is gonna beat him and rip his mask off and reveal that it's Chad Gable. So at the end of this match, y'all, right? So Bronson Reed did his finishing move off the rope on Jey Uso 3 times, which means that Jey Uso is going to be going into this rematch with Gunther on next week's episode of Raw. He's gonna be injured, bro. And I don't think he's gonna lose the rematch to Gunther, but don't be surprised if he ends up losing the belt to Gunther for a short period of time because of this injury. Because like I said, he got speared by Braun Breaker earlier, right, in the co-main event. Then in the main event, he got Bronson Reed, who's like almost 500 pounds, jumped off the ropes on top of Jey Uso 3 times in a row, bruh. So, listen, I know wrestling is fake, but that's gotta hurt, bro. You got a big ass dude like Bronson Reed, who, like I said, looks like he's damn near 500 pounds, slamming on top of you, bro. You could fuck around and break one of your ribs, man. So, Gunther was right, man. If Jey Uso wants to continue to be World Heavyweight Champion, he's got to stop helping everybody and trying to be Superman, bro. At the end of the day, bro, he needs to focus on himself and focus on, being the best World Heavyweight Championship that he could be. So that's pretty much this episode of Raw. I think it was mid. If I was to give it a score out of a 10, I would give it a 6, just because it was just too predictable. Obviously, my favorite part of this match, of this episode of Raw, was Stephanie Valkyrie's debut and her winning her first official match on the main roster. And I wouldn't be mad if Stephanie Valkyrie won the Women's Money in the Bank. Like I said, I want Naomi to win it, but if Stephanie Valkyrie wins it, I wouldn't be mad at that, man. So let me know what you guys think. It's your boy Wavy. Subscribe, thumbs up, leave a comment. I'm out.